All right, we're on air. Happy Thursday, July 27th. Just making us a time warp into the future there. Sorry, I was setting up next week's meet. Never mind. Okay, so today on the agenda, updates from the PMC. We're still working on an agreement between us and the Software Freedom Conservancy. I sent them an email last week with what I thought was all of the information they needed, but they haven't gotten back to us yet. So I've reached out to them again this week asking if there's more we can do to help move things forward, or if we have to wait for the legal document from their team. So hopefully that will resolve here quickly, but I can't guarantee that. Community related, we have a new community member who has been creating a ton of fantastic pull requests and new contrib projects that aren't in contrib yet, but are still out there and available for people, which is great. Opie from the Drupal France community is now working on backdrop stuff too. So welcome Opie, and thanks for all of your amazing contributions already. Contributed projects, it looks like we have a new contrib module, IMCE make directory, and that was ported by Daniel Rose, and that was his first port, I think. So we want to say congratulations to Daniel Rose. Thank you for helping us with more new backdrop contrib projects. So related to backdropcms.org, last week we talked about adding a security mailing list. We have since deployed it, tested it, and then this week, with this week's security announcement that came out yesterday, confirmed that it is working as anticipated. So anytime we publish a security announcement on backdropcms.org, emails will go out to anyone who's curious about receiving those letters. So if you want to sign up for Backdrop security mailing list, you can edit your user account page, and there's a new checkbox there for receiving those messages. Backdrop CMS project itself, turn it over to Nate.
Yeah. In our list of thanks, I'm sure you just covered this in the outreach meeting that was just before this, but newsletter went out today covering our community spotlight, which was written up by Tom. Thanks, Tom. That looks the spotlight is awesome, and the newsletter, yay! It's so exciting. Yeah, it's great that we're actually utilizing that. Okay, so Backdrop CMS. Let's talk about software. Our current version is Backdrop 1.71. And 1.72 will be the next bug fix release. Right now, there are a number of issues that we know about. Of course, I mean, we've got hundreds of issues that could be fixed at any given time, but none that are outstanding that would necessitate a new bug fix release. So you can get a list of all of the more important items for the bug fix, or for bug fixes, by checking out the 1.7.2 milestone. A huge number of these are needs review, which if I have availability, I will go through those, but it also really helps tremendously if we can get cross peer reviews happening between people that are filing pull requests, reviewing all of those other pull requests that need review as well. So let's see, 1.72, no real anything new since last week there. 1.8 is the next minor release. That will be coming out September 15th, 2017. And code freeze will occur on September 1st. So we're right up, heading into August, which basically means we have a month of development remaining on the 1.8 version. Right now, 1.8 and 1.7 are really pretty similar. Regardless of how much progress we make on 1.8, 1.8 will be coming out. And it will just have more or less functionality in it, depending on how many changes we get in. The items that we have slated for 1.8 as a focus include layout relationships, which is issue 2134. There hasn't been any progress on that since last week. The media library issue is 1448. It's a meta issue in which we're seeing some progress on one of the sub items there, creating or turning files into entities, or sorry, into fieldable entities. They're already entities, and that's in 2632. There hasn't been any change there since last week, but Al Roskov and Daggerhard are tag teaming that back and forth. Keep up the great work, guys. Let's see. Jen, do you want to cover this one that you just added here into the agenda? Add a field, edit and add UI.
So I started on that one last week, but it needs a little more work. I'm going to push up a new pull request this week, and then I'll change it to needs review. But
awesome. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Just allowing you to upload a file directly without associating it with an entity. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've also added an edit link to the file management list that takes you to the edit form. So basically copied what file entity does for that stuff. So there's two new callbacks, add and edit.
Awesome. Great. And lastly, config translation is issue 704. This one I'm trying to take a lead on, but there still hasn't been any updates there, no demonstratable code. I do still feel that that functionality is straightforward to add, but actually going through and converting all of our implementations might take a little bit. But we could, start with including the implementation and then go through and actually update all of the integrations once we have it in place. Let's see, and we're also adding in here 777 cross ports. Those aren't actually held up on 1.8 though, Jen, are they? Shouldn't we put those in the 1.7 bug fix list? Yeah, and I'm not sure if there's, has there been any updates on cross ports from 777 recently?
There's just a whole bunch of them that need review.
Okay, they're actually in a needs review state?
Yeah, so I just want to add that to the list so that we can remind ourselves that they're ready every week till we get them in.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Almost most 777 updates these days are, really minor and incremental things like documentation updates and fixing typos and things like that. But still, yeah, the more parity that we can get, the better there. Okay, that does it for 1.8. There's also the 1.8 issue tracker, of course, on GitHub that you can get a list of all of 1.8 issues. 2.0, I mentioned this last week, that unless we have something new to discuss on 2.0, I think we'll just continue past that section. It may be coming out January 15th, 2018. What exactly is included in it and whether or not that includes API breakage, all of those things are still open for discussion. Do we have an issue tracking discussions for 2.0? I know we do, but I can't remember where it is. We should include that in the agenda if we're going to be bringing up 2.0 on a regular basis.
I don't know that we have one of those.
Okay. Gregory, are you aware if there's like a meta or I guess, there is a 2.0 milestone.
I'll put it in the agenda now. I've got it.
Okay, awesome. Uh, 2704. Thanks, Jeff. That's it for the Backdrop product update. Next, we move on to just general Q&A and open discussion. Anybody have anything they'd like to bring up and talk about on this meeting?
I would like to say something. I was looking at some past tickets. Um, these were filed before we had the ability to individually place fields through the block UI. And I just had an idea that I haven't ironed out everything. You know that we've spent a lot of time revamping the managed fields UI, but I think now that we can individually, like, I don't know how we can bring the blocks UI drag and drop and regions thing and marry it with the managed display UI, so that I think that it's time that I show backdrop off to somebody that comes from Drupal. They're really excited about how they can see how they place the blocks instead of having them in a single column and everything. And if we brought the same thing to manage display, now that we have, I don't know, it's like when I went through the old tickets, those old tickets, they were mentioning ideas that people had of how this should work, and the first thing that came to my mind was, wait a minute, we can place individual fields in regions, because this relates. Haven't ironed out everything that relates to that, but I think it's a cool idea that maybe we can target for 2.0.
Yep, I think you're right that the discrepancies between managed fields and layouts is kind of unnecessary. Like, it would be nice if they were the same thing in some way. And layouts is so clearly, I would say, clearly more flexible and intuitive as compared to managed field or managed displays, that it'd be better to go in that direction. But exactly what that how that works is a little bit uncertain, because layouts are so tied to the display of an entire page, and manage like displays are like reusable things that could be in a variety of places. Like, they're a part of the page rather than the entire page.
This is like kind of, we talked about doing like mini layouts where you could do something like a simple footer with a bunch of different stuff in it. That same concept would apply to like a teaser layout, right, where you might want the image on the left and the content on the right or something like that. So if we can find a way to do the managed displays UI as the layout UI, that concept could be really useful in other places too.
Yeah. That's what I meant, more or less, in better words. And I'm not sure whether, I don't know how that would relate, like creating layouts on the fly that would be sort of like locked layouts that would only include all the fields in the main content region by default, and then people can drag them around if they want. I've been interacting with Drupal 8 setups lately a lot as well, and they have separated the display of the fields and the display of the form. So they have form display and managed form display, something like that. I don't know how much value that has. I don't think that the 80% of the target audience would want to have different ordering with the fields in the form than what they have in the actual display. But yeah, maybe we should give it that. Just a minute.
A lot of these concepts are discussed in the field UI issue too, where we want to redo the field UI.
I'm gonna have it when I get off.
Just to be aware, there's that.
I don't recall all the tickets, but when I hear field UI, it reminds me the mockups that Wes has put together with instead of selecting via drop downs, the available fields would select via tiles, which sort of like visually represent what the field is. And so I didn't recall if the placement was brought into that discussion. I can't remember. But yes, all that is interrelated, and it will improve the experience.
Okay. Agreed. Let's see, the field UI, let's see. Can we find that issue, just reference it real quick? There's so many. Okay, well, I can't find it directly offhand, but yeah. Oh, here it is. Field UI redesign, a meta issue is at 779. Yeah, and it covers a lot of these topics. Okay, Mike, do you want to add something?
Well, I have to go eat this burrito, so I was just going to ask, are we all set for doing the regular meeting in October at Bad Camp? Have we talked with those folks yet? Gotten the space reserved for us and things?
Oh, you mean by meeting, you mean the summit, the Backdrop Summit?
Yes, the Backdrop Summit.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that that'll be happening again this year.
Do we want to treat that the same way we have been? Do we want to perhaps do another day also as like a planning day or something like that? I feel like the summit's going to be sort of like a thing for anyone at Bad Camp to come and join, but we sort of have some direction issues and like deciding what's going to go in the 2.0 release and stuff like that. Would it be worth trying to do like another day or somewhere around then? Like
a core sprint or something.
Yeah, or more just like a planning session, like, I don't know, or whether that should be just open for everyone at Bad Camp, or like, do we need more than a day, or should we just, I don't know, just things to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're going to have a bunch of people at the same place at the same time, that would be a really valuable conversation to have with all of us in person. I agree that doesn't necessarily seem like something that we need to invite anyone who is at Bad Camp to participate in. I don't know about timing. Like, we might, I'll check in with Anne. We'll figure out usually we do 1 day of summit and 1 day of training, and then there's 2 days of camp. If we aren't doing a training, it would be possible to do that on the training day. If they did half-day trainings, it might make more sense for that core thing to be a half-day event rather than a full-day event. We could also try and do it like a day before or the day after, like the Sunday after Bad Camp. I know a lot of people are going to be leaving on Sunday, but that could be an option. But yeah, I would love to figure out some way to get that onto the schedule as a separate thing. I think you're right.
Okay. In any case, I think that we should start maybe regularly reminding people that this is coming up, because it's coming up in 3 months now. So if people are planning on coming from out of the area to come to our backdrop thing, then they might need to start looking at like transportation and lodging and stuff.
Yep.
Okay. I can have it start auto-tweeting it about it. That'll be some help. Maybe we can put it in the next newsletter too. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, mostly just like I want to make sure that like people who are on this call regularly have the option to make plans if they can come. And what are the dates for Bad Camp? Is it a Wednesday through Saturday thing?
Saturday. Yeah.
Which days are which day would the summit be on? That would be on the Thursday, or?
It would either be Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
So the dates are October 18th through October 21st.
Yeah. Alternatively, we could maybe have like a thing on that Sunday too, if people are still around, or have a sprint day on Sunday maybe.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh boy, looks like Backdrop or the Bad Camp website's in a sad place at the moment.
Fine, everything's fine.
Everything's fine. I find it hilarious that the menu problem, like the drop downs, and it's like, oh yeah, that's like the classic drop down problem. Sure would be nice if there was drop downs in AAA.
Hey, be nice.
Okay, sorry. Okay, let's call it a meeting. Great feedback, everybody. Mike, thanks for the suggestions on that camp. Thanks, Jeff. I'll take a look at this PR. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll meet up again next week. See you guys on the issue queue. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.